Hello and welcome to this video where I will be covering the news and notes of the four major regions in the League of Legends ecosystem: LPL, LCK, LEC, LCS. All this news is between April 25th and yesterday, May 1st. I do not have the C9 news, TSM news, nor Mad Lions news on here. None of that is official according to Leaguepedia and the Global Contract Database. So I'm holding off on that, and those videos will come out at another time, maybe next week when it becomes official, or even longer. It's kind of like the Nuguri news. We're waiting on it. I also do intend on doing a Sven-specific video when that does become official, if it does, and compare him, his situation to how Core swapped from AD carry to support many years ago. I think Jin Zhao did that this past year in the LPL, or somebody did. I'm mixing up names. If it was Jin Zhao or Yuyanja, somebody swapped roles. Nevertheless, if you haven't watched one of these videos before, this is what I do. I go over the big key things that happened the past week. There are three things here. Zanzarah left Astralis, FakeGod left Dignitas, and Immortals swapped Destiny for Ignar. And I touch on each of these moves and what the teams may do in response. So, if you watch my video about the LEC after the split ended, you'll see that I did a video about the teams that missed the playoffs and how they could improve to make it. And I identified Astralis as a complete disaster, and it was because they didn't really have much in their academy ecosystem in the EU Masters to replace the older players on their team that actually weren't very good. Like, their team was not young, and it stunk, and that's just not acceptable. You can't have both going on. There's no plus to that. There's no, they're going to get better. That's just not going to happen. So Zanzarah at 25, he leaves Astralis. I imagine that he's probably not going to return to the LEC. However, Taxer in Academy, I don't really know if he's that much better. Some key stats, his KDA was better, but obviously at a lower level. So KDA, really, how much can that matter? Farm's slightly better than Zanzarah. But really, they're quite similar in how they farm. I will say that it is a concern that Taxer's KP is much lower than Zanzarah. Zanzarah had almost an 80% kill participation in spring this past year, and you have to kind of give him credit for that. Astralis did struggle for most of the split, and Zanzarah was a key reason why they were able to even compete in some games. Obviously, years past, he picked the Skarner. He picked the Trundle this past year after it was out of meta, trying to cheese some wins, and it did work on occasion, but other times it did not. I will say that Taxer played one more champion than Zanzarah did this past split in 18 games. I won't pretend like that's a big deal. It's all about what the team decides to do. I think they're going to have to go out of org to replace Zanzarah. Dignitas and FakeGod, similar in my LCS video after the split ended. Dignitas and FlyQuest are pretty much the same team, and it was whoever allowed their top laner to just play tanks and to, play weak side. That team was going to win. FlyQuest did that. That's why they made the playoffs, and Dignitas did not. Dig and FakeGod parting ways makes sense. FakeGod's still 21. He has a few years left. He still could play in Academy and maybe get another shot somewhere else. I will say Eclipse in Academy for Dignitas really left a lot on the table for me. I don't believe that he is all that great. His KDA was actually lower against worse competition. I don't really know how Dignitas' whole team looked in Academy, but Eclipse isn't really that much of a upgrade. Actually, CS per minute is down more than it's about 0.7 lower, which is actually pretty significant. 1 CS a minute, it's pretty damn significant across the game, especially against Academy players. I will say that his champion pool is significantly bigger. Eclipse played 14 champions, where FakeGod played 9 last split, giving you an idea that maybe Eclipse can do a little bit more than FakeGod, whether it's split pushing, tanks, carries. The CS per minute's not great, and his KDA is not great, but at least his champion pool is wide open, and he's willing to do things for the team. Maybe that's something that Dignitas needs to consider. And lastly, Immortals swapping out Destiny for Ignar. This is a move that should have been made in spring. This should not have waited this long. Ignar should not have been sitting on the sidelines this long. He, I mean, Destiny was maybe one of the worst supports in the LCS this past split, and Ignar is so much better. Looking at Ignar's stats from last year with Danny and EG, they'd make the playoffs. His KDA was over 4.5. KP was 64.9, which is just a tick shorter than Destiny's this past split, but Destiny's KDA was 2.37. And I mean, I obviously, EG versus Immortals, EG's stats are going to look nicer for Ignar. But Ignar, even on FlyQuest the year before when they went to Worlds, or the year before that, I don't remember if it was 2019 or 2020 when they went to Worlds. But FlyQuest, I mean, really surprised a lot of people by the way they were playing with Santorin and PoE. And I mean, Ignar was a key player in that. Very active support in years past. I believe that him paired with Arrow may be a nice thing for Immortals. I do, though, believe Immortals needs a lot more work. Having Arrow as your AD carry, having Wild Turtle as your backup. I mean, you have two veterans. I mean, veterans at your AD carry spot, and I think that you need to look elsewhere. You can't have a bot lane that's both 26 years old and expect to really do much. I don't think that they can compete with Danny and Berserker and Tactical. And I mean, I could go down the list of players. I think that they will struggle. So, I mean, is it an upgrade with Ignar? Yes, a big upgrade. Maybe it's enough to get into the playoffs. Obviously, we know like the top 4 spots in the LCS are pretty well accounted for with C9, TL, 100 Thieves, and EG. But 5 and 6 are definitely wide open. 8 teams make the playoffs in summer, which is pretty damn ridiculous in my opinion. So if they miss the playoffs, it's a colossal failure as Immortals or even Dignitas for that matter. But I think that this was a big upgrade. I think they improved a lot. I mean, we'll see how they fare in summer. We'll see if they make more moves. Thank you. If you've watched this video this far, thank you for watching. I may have 4 videos out today. Between this one, I'm going to be covering G2 as my MSI preview continues. I'm also going to do my jungler rankings, as well as possibly, I mean, I want to do this video, and I want to see if I can fit it in today or if I have to do it tomorrow. But it's going to be comparing Impact and Broken Blade. Because obviously, I mean, that was a close call for me. I put Impact above Broken Blade, and I've had a few people disagree, and I think that's fair. I think it was fair. Like I said in that video, I have Broken Blade. I believe Broken Blade at his best is better than Impact, but he can also be worse than Impact in certain situations. I think Impact always gives you a consistent, solid performance no matter what and can do anything, where Broken Blade, it has a little more variability, and that can be troublesome in a tournament where you're against players that may be better than you. But, I mean, I want to see how that looked, at least in the LCS when they played against each other. Both players being on teams that were playoff caliber. So that does, I mean, make it so that it's a fair comparison. And heck, maybe BB just destroyed Impact in those games, and I'm just completely forgetting it. So maybe that video will come out today. I hope to get it done today. If not, I think it'll be out before, I mean, probably tomorrow. So thank you for watching this video. Comment down below if you have any opinions of your own on these moves, Zanzarah, FakeGod, and Immortals swapping supports. Like the video if you like this sort of content. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. And thank you for watching.